Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
Welcome to Caribbean Perspective. So glad you can join us. The story that takes the lead in today's edition for Thursday, 30th May 2024, and brought to you in association with our friends at Antillean Group. St. Kitts and Nevis Prime Minister Terrence Drew addresses the SIDS conference in Antigua. Details after this important message.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all, perils big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Welcome back. St. Kitts and Nevis Newsline is covering the International SIDS Conference being held in Antigua and Barbuda under the auspices of the United Nations. SKN Newsline's Andre Huey files this report on the opening plenary session address made by Prime Minister Dr. Terrence Drew.
I'm coming to you from the American University of Antigua here in St. John's, Antigua and Barbuda for the 4th International Conference of the Small Island Developing States, SIDS, happening right here in Antigua, where the representatives, heads of states from various countries, small island countries around the world here for this conference, discussing matters pertaining to climate change and things that are of existential threat to small island developing states. The Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis is here. He's represented. He spoke at the plenary session, at the very opening plenary session, where he addressed a number of issues. For one, he outlined the challenges facing SIDS, such as adequate accessible capital, technology for democratization, for education and government, and a number of other things. One of the things he pointed out, of course, is resilient infrastructure and the need for SIDS to develop resilient infrastructure.
Many SIDS are water scarce, such as my country of St. Kitts and Nevis, which used to be water dependent, is now considered one of the most water-scarce nations on earth. Yet, we are tourism destinations. We are food importers and need to boost our agricultural sectors for food and nutrition security. The Caribbean is projected to face a 10 to 20% decline in crop yields by 2050 due to climate change. We cannot have resilient health systems without resilient food systems. This is why CARICOM's 25 by 25 initiative is of such importance. And this is where we seek to decrease our import of food by 25% by the year 2025.
The Prime Minister also highlighted the importance of finding a combined solution to climate change and the impact that climate change is having on small island developing states.
Against this backdrop, SIDS to SIDS, South to South, and triangular cooperation on the major development challenges require our solidarity like never before. An action to safeguard the health and future of small island developing states and our beloved people. We, the children of the world's island nations, we have come together in pursuit of prosperity for SIDS. At this time in our history, at this conference, with so much at stake, we cannot allow it to escape us.
So that's Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. Terrence Drew, speaking at the plenary session, the opening plenary session here at the SIDS conference in Antigua and Barbuda. There's a lot to cover here at the SIDS conference, which, by the way, runs until Friday, until the 31st of May. So a number of things, a number of sessions to attend. One of the things that will be at the center of the agenda is the Antigua and Barbuda Agenda for SIDS. That's the ABAS. That's a renewed declaration for resilient prosperity. That's one of the declarations that was agreed to and that will be discussed and reinforced here at SITS. We had a press conference earlier as well where we spoke to the Minister, Mr. Chet Green of Antigua and Barbuda, on that document and what it entails and what it actually means for small island developing states. All that's coming up in subsequent reports here. But you stay tuned to SK Newsline and TVC Channel 40 as we keep you updated as what's happening here at the SITS conference in Antigua and Barbuda. I'm Andre Huey for SK Newsline.
Devontae Hanna of ZNS News reports that Prime Minister Philip Davis attends the SIDS conference in Antigua and Barbuda.
Prime Minister the Honorable Philip Davis held nothing back today at the 4th International Conference on Small Island Developing States in Antigua and Barbuda when he called for countries to come together and take a stance on climate action. This is, he says, time is limited as many countries like the Bahamas are already feeling the effects of warming temperatures.
The Bahamas is burning. Bushfires stubbornly burn throughout our islands in the heat of the Bahamian dry season. The flames have scorched our coppice and pine forests, unleashing an ashy haze that has spread across our communities. Bahamians living near these fires have been forced to breathe smoke-filled air and endure these hazardous conditions.
The fear, he says, is that a fiery new reality will become the norm. This as countries across the region suffer from severe drought-like conditions, assigning the Prime Minister reasons climate reform is long gone.
To empower SIDS, we need sustainable, long-term solutions, not quick fixes or gimmicks. Continuing this trend of band-aid solutions without addressing the root of the problem will quite frankly kill us. If we keep kicking the can down the road, eventually we will run out of road.
But to empower SIDS to become more climate resilient, he again stressed the need for major polluters to be held accountable.
Therefore, I call upon the OECD and the EU, who are present here, to join forces with us and the United Nations to formulate a global tax treaty that truly represents the interests of all nations, particularly those of us who are often left out of the conversation. This treaty should aim to provide a voice for SIDS, ensuring that our unique challenges and perspectives are acknowledged and addressed in global financial regulations. The OECD cannot give with one hand and take back with the other. True partnership requires consistent and fair support.
This, as he revealed, deserving countries have not yet reaped the full benefits of the damage fund established at COP28.
We have secured less than 1% of the estimated $400 billion per year needed to assist the most severely impacted societies.
In closing his presentation, Prime Minister Davis encouraged SIDS to commit to holding major polluters accountable, securing financing, and developing the best possible future for each country. Reporting live in studio for the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Devontae Hanna.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick,
in association with our friends at
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Jamaica's opposition People's National Party reaffirms a stance to not sign report on the Constitution Reform Committee. TVJ's Sandy Williams reports.
They have as a recommendation that through a simple majority, they can put on the election for 6 months.
General Secretary of the People's National Party, Dayton Campbell, highlighting one of the recommendations from the Constitutional Reform Committee. He says the government could use the recommendation as an excuse to delay the general election constitutionally due in September next year.
The next year, September, they realize they never get up, or you don't say Fisher, stop signing, then decide they never put it off to 6 months. They will tell you that them say only under certain circumstances. But remember, what they said the other, I do not trust Marley Manawufo, nor Andrew Wallace with my people in the future.
Therefore, a political tug-of-war continues over the reform process. Dr. Campbell insists the party will not sign off on its report unless significant changes are made to some of the recommendations of the 15-member body.
Any postponement of an election must require that you get at least 2/3 of both houses of parliament to vote in order for it to take place. Which means that at least one of our senators there, even if you win the 49 seat like when you win, you might pass in the lower house, but when you reach the upper house, cannot pass without the opposition having a say in that matter. It must be a true natural disaster in order for it to be put on.
The report of the committee was submitted to Parliament last week, but the parliamentary opposition says there is no consensus on many of the recommendations. In the coming weeks, the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs will launch a public education campaign to inform Jamaicans about the committee's recommendations. Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
Over now to Trinidad and Tobago, where as the race heats up to the general election that is due in 2025, internal bickering within the UNC continues. The government and the Auditor General and the DPP still have their issues, and Michaela Pandey makes her intentions clear. She will be contesting all seats in 2025 with her party, Patriotic Front. Political analyst Dr. Mukesh Basdio says her party is untested, but he's not saying she can't succeed.
The introduction of the Patriotic Front, led by attorney at law Michaela Pandey, to next year's general election race is described as significant by one political analyst. Dr. Mukesh Basdio tells TV6 there's no real data to evaluate the party on as yet. He notes that there have been several elections and by-elections in the local government arena, and the party did not field any candidates during that time.
A number of possibly by-elections in the local government arena, but the party did not field any candidates in those elections. So we have these issues there. So that's why I use the phrase like untested.
Yes.
In the context of the context of the electoral politics in Trinidad and Tobago. The question is that what will the party's performance be in an upcoming general election is yet to be seen. And well, there's little data to go by to say we can say that, unlike, let's say, a party led by Philip Alexander who had contested elections, there's data that we can use and measure. In this context, it will be something that we can only operate on speculations.
During an interview, Michaela Pandey asserted that her intention is to win and to introduce a new and transparent kind of politics to Trinidad and Tobago. Dr. Basdio tells TV6 politics is fluid, and he's not at all suggesting that the Patriotic Front cannot win an election. When questioned on whether or not the Patriotic Front will split votes, he had this to say.
So the question is that where will the Patriotic Front be able to draw electoral support? Is that electoral support are going to come from persons, as we say, sitting on the electoral fence, who have not made up their mind, who are disenchanted with the existing political party, and who may be attracted to the political statements or the political what is promised by the Patriotic Front? So we need to see that, and the only way that can happen is that we need to monitor how this party now moves in the time period towards a general election.
He further weighs in on Mrs. Pandey's focus on the youth. The political analyst highlights that the young people are more likely to shift allegiance across parties, unlike their parents who may vote according to family tradition. With the countdown now on to the UNC's internal election, Dr. Basdio says there are benefits that come with either side. He knows Mrs. Kamla Prasad-Bissessar has her support, while he is aware that MP Rushton Parry has supporters as well. According to him, it's a matter of watching to see how the campaign will play out.
And the nature of the campaign, is it going to get, let's say, as we say, politically nasty? Is it going to remain in what we call and maintain some level of political etiquette? It is yet to be seen, but as I can judge from it, given the exchange of letters and responses over the weekend, we are in for, let's say, 2 weeks of, let's say, political excitement.
Nicole M. Romani, TV6 News.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillian Group.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's a service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.